What is up YouTube, I'm Royal, I'm rank 1 Wildrift, and if you've been tuning into my stream, you know I've been dominating this season. We're in the top 15 players in NA right now. We're 90 something marks challenger, very close to Sovereign, so I definitely understand the meta very well right now, and with a new patch, I'm here to help you guys and tell you what champions I think are really strong, and what champions are kind of weak, kind of overrated, and hopefully I'll share a few hidden gems with you as well. Let's start off with the jungle. So a lot of junglers that were really good got nerfed, including Lilia and Viego. So the thing about jungle right now is that there's so many really good junglers. It used to be that Lee Sin, Viego, and Lilia were just by far the three best junglers. However, after this patch, there's just so many really strong junglers for every situation. I will definitely say that Lee Sin is a tier above everyone. Lee Sin is just a lot stronger than every other jungler. However, a tier below Lee Sin, Master Yi, Xin Zhao, Viego, Lilia, Gragas, Talon, Echo, Hecarim, Evelynn, Kha'Zix, Amumu, Vi, Riven, Wukong, and Tryndamere are all great options. And situationally, even the champions in A tier can be really strong. Shyvana got a few nice quality of life buffs. Zed got a nice little buff. Nyla has been pretty underrated for a long time. Kayn did get some pretty decent nerfs last patch. However, he's still one of the better junglers. I would avoid the B tier junglers, even though the B tier junglers can be really good situationally as well. One champion that I'm still debating, maybe I should have put it higher, that is Diana. I think the changes that they made to her are actually pretty effective. However, she's one of those hard carry junglers, and I don't think she really matches up well into the S tier junglers. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. However, keep an eye on Diana. Maybe she's not truly B tier. I could be wrong here. I am questioning myself. Moving on to the mid lane. Mid lane has also been quite interesting. This is where I think Diana is actually quite a bit better. I think she will be a lot better as a mid laner now, because of course there's less competition in mid lane. There aren't as many OP champions. In the god tier, I do have Jace and I do have Kassadin. Kassadin, of course, gonna benefit quite a bit with the Rod of Ages buffs. Twisted Fate is gonna benefit a lot with the Rod of Ages buffs. This is another reason why I think Diana in the mid lane can be pretty scary. In the jungle, it's hard to build Rod of Ages first item because it slows your jungle clear. You really want to get stats really quickly. However, in the mid lane, since you're just farming mid, you can go for the Rod of Ages early, which can be super beneficial to Diana. Of course, to the typical mages like Morgana, Ziggs, Syndra are there. A lot of you have noticed that Morgana is quite high in my tier lists, and that's because her second ability just allows her to AFK farm mid and then be a monster in the late game with her utility and her constant second abilities slowing everyone with Rylai's. Moving on to the Baron lane, and here's where it gets interesting because we have more god tier champions, and one of them is Gragas. Gragas received some really nice buffs this patch, and he was already super strong. You can build him full AP, you can build him tank, you can build him off tank, where you go both AP and tank. I think he's a great champion. Garen, of course, continues to dominate. Garen is so strong in this patch. Ornn and Renekton are both great tanks. Of course, Renekton with Heartsteel and Titanic Hydra continues to dominate. You can even, instead of Titanic Hydra, do Sunfire Cape on him to be more utility focused. And Aatrox, of course, a good Aatrox can destroy games. The S tier champions are still really strong. This is, of course, the old Jax. We are expecting a rework. However, without seeing him in game, I can't really accurately rate him. So until we get that rework, Jax will continue being in S tier. However, the rework does look like it's going to be a buff overall, so I'm expecting him to climb up the ranks. Wukong got a nice little buff. However, I don't think it's going to push him into God tier. He's going to stay in S tier. I do recommend playing the God, S, and even the A tier champions in the right situations can be super strong, like Teemo, for example. Teemo is a great champion in the right situations. In B tier, Yone fell down in B tier. I think the Yone nerfs really hurt him in the Baron lane because he's just not going to be able to lane against some of these really strong champions like Garen, like Renekton, like Fiora, like Riven, like Sion. He just won't be able to lane against them right now. So I definitely think he's quite a bit weaker with these nerfs. In the support tier, we of course have our god supports, which is Lulu, incredible enchanter support helping your team. Nautilus and Thresh. Thresh only if you're really good on him, right? Most Threshers are just not very good on him. However, if you're good on Thresh, massive, broken champion. In the S tier, we have all the usual typical broken supports. I do want to mention that I've included Gragas here. I think Gragas is actually one of the stronger tank supports of this patch, especially due to his second ability buffs. It's going to make his early game quite a bit stronger and make him very, very tanky. Of course, in the A tier, you have your typical mages like Zyra and Lux. Rakan has made his way into A tier. I've rated him pretty lowly. I don't think these buffs make a massive difference. I still think it's better to pick Nautilus, Thresh, Braum, Leona as your tank engaged supports. However, those are some nice buffs. So he's going to join the A tier. And of course, B and C tier, I have the champions that I just don't think are very good. I think Nami can be higher. She's really difficult to play. And even if you play her right, she's not going to be as useful as a Karma or a Lulu. So I can't justify putting her any higher. Moving on to the ADCs, of course, Ezreal got a buff and a pretty big buff. And I already had him in God tier, so I definitely want to keep him in God tier. I think he might even be stronger than Varus. I've been saying that Varus is the best ADC for a long time now, but I think with these buffs, Ezreal could probably be stronger than Varus. The thing with Varus is he's just so good in every situation because he's so flexible. You can play him on hit tank, you can play him on hit damage, you can play him lethality, you can play him AP. You just have so many options that he can literally be. You can pick him any game and he's gonna be the good ADC for that game, you know? While Xayah, for example, which I demoted to S tier from God tier, she's not good in every situation, right? You want short range champions that can fight into you, you can kite them back, use your third ability to root them, so she's not great in every situation. This is why I include her in S tier, especially with Ezreal becoming even stronger now. I think Xayah is gonna struggle against these longer range ADCs like Ezreal that will pop up even more. Of course, Kalista is one of the top ADCs. I think she's a very underrated ADC, and if you have the right support like a Thresh or a Nautilus that can set you up, I think Kalista is an absolute menace. For hyper carries, of course, we have Kai'Sa, is probably the best hyper carry. Tristana is also a really good hyper carry option. But honestly, every ADC in God tier, S tier, and A tier is really strong. In B tier, I have the ADCs I just think are a little weaker. Vayne can be good in the right situation, especially with Lulu, however, definitely a little weaker. I don't recommend playing Jinx. I think you can just play Tristana and just be a million times more useful. And Jhin, the problem with Jhin is that he's only good in very specific team comps. And even then, he's never the best option, even though I know all of my viewers love playing Jhin. And of course, the C and D tier, you shouldn't pick. They're not even really ADCs, to be honest. Senna, I think I've mentioned many times, should be played support with a farming bruiser, usually, like Gragas and Ornn and Nasus, something like that. So that is it for my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I want you to go out there and climb some ranks and get some wins and report back to me and tell me what champions you're having the most success with.